Hello students, welcome to Exploding Chemistry. I am Teacher Susan and today I would like to share with you Score A+ Chemistry 2020. Before we start the sharing, now let us look at those basic concepts of the chemistry. Have you mastered all of them? In the Form 4 topic, we have the structure of atoms, chemical formula and equations, periodic tables, and chemical bond. When we move on to Form 5 topics, we are going to master neutralization, resurrection, chemical compound, and thermochemistry. Have you mastered all these SPM favorite questions? Let us look at what is the minimum requirement for us to achieve A or A+ in chemistry SPM. We need 45 marks for paper 1, 80 marks for paper 2, and 45 marks for paper 3. Then A+ will be in our hand. What are the steps that we need to take care in our paper 2 answering? Always underline command word and look for the marks allocation. Match the command words to the marks, meaning to say it will be always 1 mark awarded to 1 point, to 1 answers. And understand the requirement of the question and never repeat unnecessarily the statement of the questions. Okay, let us look at some careless mistakes done by students in the exam. Okay, one of the careless mistakes is incomplete statement. Students supposing write total surface area instead of surface area. If the question asking for the function of polystyrene cup, it is used to reduce heat loss to the environment and not to prevent heat loss to environment. Question maybe will ask you, why solution A serve as electrolyte? We will focus on the ion in the electrolyte that can move freely, causing conductivity of electricity, instead of the ion in the electrolyte can move, full stop. Another common mistake will be, what is the observation of the metal form? The metal will be silver and students write silver is form. Silver is an element, but the color for the silver should be shiny gray. Let us look at some general tips on answering essay. First of all, students are encouraged to choose questions with more marks breakdown. Number 2, you are going to read the questions thoroughly and carefully understand what is the requirement of the questions. Number 3, before you start answering, highlight or underline the keywords. Number 4, you are advised to answer in sentence or preferable in table form, especially you are answering comparison questions. Number 5, write down everything that the questions request. Next, always start a new question on an empty, new writing paper. Okay, now, we are trying to understand what is the common important keywords that always used in exam questions. Okay, number 1, define or what is the meaning of. We normally give formal and general meaning for a term, and we must start the sentence by using a noun. For example, the definition for potential difference is the voltmeter reading, shown when 2 electrodes of different metals are immersed in electrolyte. If you do not have the noun voltmeter reading, you are not entitled for the marks for your definition. The second keyword that we are using here is the word state, which means we are going to give a very precise answer, but we don't need to give any elaboration. For example, the question asking us to state a substance which is yellow when hot, white when cold. So that will be the keyword. So our answer can be written in ZNO, the formula, or give the name zinc oxide. No need extra explanation. The next keyword that we are looking for is name. Only give the correct name according to the question, but we are not allowed to give chemical formula. we will reject chemical formula. The same question just now, if your answer is ZNO, you will not get a single mark. But when you write zinc oxide, yes, correct, you will get the mark. However, be careful, if you are writing zinc 2 oxide, you will get a wrong answer right. Then the next term that we are looking for is the word explain. We will give a reason for the fact. Example asking you, why melting point of bromine is higher than chlorine? So the first reason, we are looking at the molecular size of bromine, which is larger than chlorine. And this larger molecular size, it is going to cause the intermolecular force between the bromine become stronger. Therefore, more heat is needed to overcome the stronger force in bromine. Next, if the question in essay asking you to describe an experiment, normally these 5 items are needed. We will get about 4 to 5 marks in procedure, 2 marks in listing down our apparatus and material, 2 marks for the balancing equation or calculation, 3 marks. Observations, explanation, and labeled diagram will be given 2 marks if requested. The next keyword that we are going to see is the word justified. This one is a well-known keyword questions in chemistry. For example, if they give you a diagram like what you're seeing in front of you, you can see a lot of mineral bottles, and they ask you, is the polymer shown in the diagram, which is the mineral bottle, beneficial to humans or not? Justified. So you can give us yes, you can give us no. We will have 2 set of answer with you, but your reason must be corresponding to your option yes or no. And this one tested a lot on the general information or knowledge for students. The next keyword that we are looking at is the word compare. Always remember, when we are doing a comparison, we are going to show the similarity or the differences. You can answer you can put down your answer in a table form, but we need to use comparative word like higher than, lower than. Do not give us a statement like A is high while B is low. Then the next word that we are going to see is the word predict. Predict. You can, for example, maybe the previous question asking you to do a calculation for the heat of neutralization, and the answer is negative 55 kJ per mole. Next question asking you to predict when this experiment is repeated by using a certain given acid. So now you cannot tell us, you cannot simply put in any value as you like. If let's say the given acid is a weaker acid compared to the original experiment, therefore we will say the heat of neutralization produced is lower than, put in the value lower than negative 55 kJ per mole. We will reject the symbol mathematic as you can see on your screen. The symbol lower than, higher than, or equal. Next we are going to look into the questions for calculation. Please make sure you put in your working steps. We make these working steps as compulsory to reduce careless mistake that normally can be done by students. We found out that students normally have a little bit of this problem. Maybe when they read the calculator says 0.05 for example, but in their answer they write 0.5. If you have a working steps, the examiner is able to help you to check your answer from your working steps. It will be a little bit safer when you put in your working steps. And for your information, unit is compulsory. And some students ask me, teacher, how many decimal place? Normally we use 3 decimal place or 3 significant figure. The next keyword is a sketching. We only need students to draw or to sketch your graph using freehand. But what do we need in your sketching? We must have title and unit in both axes. And you are going to give a correct graph, correct shape of the graph. Is either a curve, a straight line, or a staircase graph. And number 3, you are going to label your curve. If you are producing a curve, make sure that your label is on the steep, the gradient of your graph. Do not put them on the linear part of your graph to prevent misunderstanding. Then the next keyword that we are looking for is plotting. Okay, you are going to plot a graph on a graph paper and you are going to get 3 marks for it. First mark is always on the correct label for both axes, okay, on the scale, on the title and the unit. Second mark is the correct transferring of the data from the table onto your graph paper. And the third mark, we are evaluating based on the shape that you have. And generally in chemistry, we will only have 3 types of graph. The linear graph is always heat of combustion, or it can be redirection. The curve is redirection, and the staircase is the heating curve for the acetamide or naphthalene. Okay, next we are going to see how to answer a verification question, briefly describe a confirmation test question, okay, that carry 3 marks, that give us 3 marks. So we are using the method MOI. Okay, in MOI we have method, which means we have to put in action word together with the testing reagent, followed by your observations, followed by your inference. That 3 steps combined will give us the MOI. For example, question asks us to give a verification for a colorless bubbles that collected in an electrolysis process. Let's say this colorless bubble is oxygen gas. So how do we conduct our MOI? Bring near or insert, which is a keyword, okay, the action word, a glowing splinter into the test tube. So the glowing splinter will be the testing reagent. Observation, splinter relighted. Okay, splinter is relighted. Inference indicates the presence of oxygen. Okay, this is how we carry out our MOI. Okay, next we are going to see some guidelines to answer paper 3. Okay, for structure questions, we will focus on these 11 scientific skills, which giving us a total of 33 marks. Measuring is always the first question. Question A, they will give you a diagram. You are going to do some reading based on the diagram and jot down the information. Okay, and in this case, you need to make sure that the decimal place and also the unit is attached. Alright, so we are going to see all this information in detail later on. Okay, so the next that we are going to see is what are the guidelines that we need in our paper 3 essay. Normally, there are 6 elements that we need to answer in essay writing for paper 3, and these 6 elements will give us a total of 17 marks. The first element will be problem statement, followed by variables, and then after that we have hypothesis, continue, material and apparatus, then we have procedures, lastly tabulation of data. These are the necessary information in answering our paper 3 essay. Before we move on, let us have a look at this table. Okay, these are the well-known apparatus that normally used in chemistry question. And we need to focus on the accuracy of the reading, especially when you are going to jot down the answer under your structure. Okay, a mistake that always done by students is your burette reading. If you are given 0 cm cube, don't just put down there 0. Write down there 0.00, because the accuracy of burette is 2 decimal place. When you put in the wrong decimal place, they will deduct your mark. So it's not worth it when you been deduct your marks just because careless mistake in your accuracy. Okay, now let's move on. Okay, how do we answer hypothesis correctly? Okay, to get the 3 marks, 1 sentence for the hypothesis in both your essay or structure paper 3 contribute 3 marks for us. Remember, hypothesis must follow the sequence of MR. Tell us your manipulated variable first, then only put down your responding variable. And both variables must carry out with a direction. Direction means higher, lower. Okay, never use a neutral word like effect, difference, because when you are using a neutral word, let's look at the example. Your marks will automatically drop to 1 mark. Okay, what is the 3 marks sentence? Okay, in an experiment, it is the temperature of the solution who affect the reaction. So temperature of the solution is the manipulated, while reaction is the responding. So we can see the manipulated variable first, followed by the responding variable. And the direction for your manipulated variable is higher. The direction for the responding variable is higher. What happened to the 2 mark? Students who provide 2 mark because they mention the responding variable first, which is the reaction, then only talk about the temperature, which is the manipulated, which caused a deduct of 1 mark. Now next is the problem statement. Problem statement is very easy. You just need to find out the aim from the question. For every experiment, they will sure give you the aim. Once you find out the aim, go for the first word. Look for, to study, to investigate, to find out this word cut out. Put in the WH question. Then copy back the remaining of the sentence and add in a full stop. That will give you 3 marks in your problem statement. Okay. Look at the example. I cut away the word to study and put in what is. So my 3 marks problem statement become what is the effect of temperature of HCl on the reaction. Put in the question mark. Automatically, I get 3 marks already. Okay, the next one is our variables. This section also very easy. If you are able to write out your hypothesis, automatically you are already having your manipulated variable and responding variable. Constant variable, normally we will have more than 1. Students are allowed to write in all the constant variable. Okay, what is our thinking skill? When you want to find out your constant, ask yourself, what is the item? What is the factor? Remain unchanged even though I repeat the experiment again and again. That will be your constant. Okay, next we go into the very important part, observation. Not only for your paper 3, observation is equally important in your paper 2 as well. And this is the part whereby students always do a lot of careless mistake. Remember, observation obtained physically through the observation, through your physical observation. Just a simple example. Can you see oxygen gas in front of you? You can't, right? So if you tell me oxygen gas is produced, hydrogen gas is produced, this is never an observation because you cannot see them. But if you tell me colorless bubbles are liberated, yes, that will be our observation. Another careless mistake observation is the color change. Students always forget to put in your initial color, the original color. Remember, when you are asked to put down color change, the word change means before and after. Even though there is no color change, never write there no color change. Write down blue color remain blue. So you will see the color twice, blue blue, or blue colorless, or blue lighter blue. That is how we answer our observations. Please take note. Well, the next killer in our paper 3. Now this killer also move on to our paper 2, operational definition. Many students doesn't like this because they say, teacher, operational definition is so difficult to score. No, it is not. In order for us to get full mark in our operational definition, always ask yourself, what have you done? After you do something, what can you observe? To answer these 2 questions, the sentence when you answer these 2 questions, that will become your operational definition. Okay, example, when the question asks you what is the meaning, operational definition for coagulation. In order for you to carry out coagulation, what you need to do? We need to add acid into the latex. What will you see after you add the acid into the latex? I will see a white solid. So therefore, the operational definition will be, when acid is added to latex, white solid is formed. But you don't go and tell us that you can see the latex coagulate. It's impossible. After we have talking about the killer part, the operational definition, let's move on to something that's simpler, which is your material and apparatus. First question the student asked me, should we separate them or put them together? Whichever that you want. Okay, if you want to separate them, always tell yourself, apparatus means something that you can reuse again and again. Material means you only can use once and that's it. Okay, it is not a big problem if students are unable to separate them. Sometimes, maybe certain apparatus or material students intend to forget, write down in your answer script. Never mind. Okay, as long as you have a complete labeled diagram, examiner is still able to deduce the apparatus or material from your complete labeled diagram. So because of that, you never draw a diagram, Chincai draw. No, don't do that. You need to draw it completely and make sure everything is labeled properly. If not, you are just wasting your time. Okay, lastly, we are going to see how do we score procedure. When we read procedure, it doesn't mean that we have a rules and regulations saying that how many sentences that we need. No, there's no such thing. So bear in your mind, a good procedure, number one, you are able to tell your examiner how do you set up your experiment. Never draw a diagram and write a sentence. The above experiment is referred. Full stop. You will not get the marks. Okay, you need to write out in sentences telling the examiner how do you setting up the experiment. How do you measure and pour how many cm cube of the solution into what container. Then how do you connect the delivery tube, for example? Okay, how do you place the Bunsen burner? Where do you place your Bunsen burner? Do you light on the Bunsen burner first before you add in the solution or the other way around? This is important. Make sure that the sentence that you produce in your procedure, make it short and nice. It's okay that we have more than 10 sentences, doesn't matter. As long as understandable, you will get the mark. Other than setting up, you need to make sure that in your procedure, you need to mention about your manipulated. Okay, at least you are going to tell your examiner what are the repeated manipulated in your experiment. And number three, how do you record your responding? Do you record your responding as observation, or you record your responding by using a certain device? Lastly, make sure you have safety precaution. Example, when we are using solid, we add solid into solution until assessed. The main reason is so that ions in your solution is completely react. We can see solid whether they still have remaining or not, but we cannot see ion. Therefore, using solid in excess automatically is a safety precaution to help us make sure that the chemical reaction is completed. Another safety precaution that we can use, okay, we are repeating certain steps. We are repeating the experiment for a few more times so that we can get average result. The more average result that we obtain, the more accurate it is. And the final last step is our tabulations of data. Make sure your tabulation of data must be in a table form. The first column is always your manipulated variables. Complete the title for your manipulated variable as well as all the answer for your manipulated variable. And the second column will be our responding variable. If we are talking about observation, there will be no unit. But when we are doing a measurement by using device, make sure you put in the correct unit. Then only you will get the full mark for your tabulation of data. Well done, students! We are almost towards the end of our sharing session. You guys have done amazing job, awesome, great job, fantastic, because you stay on with me, Teacher Susan, until almost the end of the session. Before we draw this towards the end, let's teacher give you some courtesy reminder. Okay, what are we going to do? Always stay positive, never feel nervous. No, don't nervous. Okay, don't let the negative thinking haunted you before you sit for your SPM. Now, during your revision session, make sure you budget your time. Always remember your 15 minutes for objective, 15 minutes is always given to blacken your OMR form. So estimated 50 questions, each of the questions roughly about 1 minute. Do this when you are doing your revision. And for structure, we estimate about 15 minutes maximum per 10 mark structure question. And for every essay question, especially in your paper 2, the maximum time allocation is 20 minutes only. Okay, so never go more than 20 minutes. Just stay on there for more than 20 minutes and not answering the question. You are wasting your time. And after that, make sure you read every question carefully. Highlight the keyword. Don't kelam kabut, go and answer the question. And don't forget, once you finish reading your question, before you start, pray to your God so that God will give you a peaceful mind. Alright? Before I end my session, teacher want to wish all of you good luck for your SPM. Do the best for yourself. Feel free to scan my QR code. This will guide you to my YouTube channel. Inside my YouTube channel, I prepared quite a number of revision video for certain topic. Okay, if you feel like you don't want to read your book, you want to stay on with your handphone, feel free to click on my YouTube or scan the QR code and go to the YouTube that I prepared. Look at the video and enjoy the show. All the best, kids, all the best, students. Okay, I hope everyone will get A+ in your chemistry. See you guys again. Bye.